Hello, everyone, and dear PhD pursuing research scholars and students. I am CS Dr. Rajkumar Kankariya, Head of Research and Development and IQC Coordinator at International School of Management and Research, Pune. If I ask you one question, whether PhD is complex or very simple, the answer is, if you're knowing the process, yes, it is simple to go away with. But if you're not knowing the process of PhD, then it is very complicated. So through this video, I'm going to give you an awareness about the PhD process at Kavitri Bahinabai Chaudhary, North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. This video is extremely useful for the research scholars and who are pursuing PhD and research students to understand the process of PhD in detail at Kavitri Bahinabai Chaudhary, North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. At the very beginning, I'll give my humble and sincere thanks to Dr. Anil Dongre, who is my research guide and mentor, and all the officials at Kavitri Bahinabai Chaudhary, who had North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon, who had helped me to pursue my PhD. So let us start with the PhD process video. To begin with, I'll just begin with a quote by our beloved ex-president of India and renowned scientist, APJ Abdul Kalam. Educationalists should build the capabilities of spirit of inquiry, creativity, entrepreneurial and moral leadership among the students and become their role model. Right? So with this beautiful quote, let us start with the process of PhD. So what is the process of PhD at KBC North Maharashtra University? Get set go. There was one circular given by Kavitri Bahinabai Chaudhary, North Maharashtra University, dated 22nd of May 2017. If I'll click on the PDF, I'll go through the detailed circular, and the source link is given at the right hand side of this presentation. So while pursuing the PhD, please go through this PDF in detail so that you will get understanding about the rules and procedures for the award of degree of Doctor of Philosophy at KBC North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. But sometimes you cannot interpret the rules and regulations. So this video is going to extremely, this video will be an extreme help for you to understand the PhD process in detail. So what are the steps? The first step is to clear the PhD entrance examination, that is PET, or on the basis of the exemption through the, if you're a NET qualified, SET qualified or JRF qualified fellow, you can get the exemption, but for that you need to apply to the universities. And in case of KBC North Maharashtra University, after the PhD notification, PhD entrance notification, you need to apply as if you are appearing for the PhD entrance examination. There will be one clause under the form for the exemption. You just take the form and supporting documents, attach those and submit to the university. After the process, you will get the exemption. Or those who are not getting the exemption, those who will go through the entrance examination, they will have to appear for two papers. Paper 1 would be on research methodology and paper 2 would be subject specific. If you are from science stream, then the paper 2 would be from the science stream. If you are from commerce and management field, the paper would be from commerce and management. If you are from arts, so the paper would be subject to your respective field. Okay, so there would be two papers. You need to qualify for that papers, right? The minimum required criteria for qualifying this entrance examination is given in detail in the circular provided by the university, and also the notice or circular which the university gives you, that also has that particular criteria. Now let us move on. I wish all of you will clear the PhD entrance examination, or many of you already have cleared the PhD entrance examination, right? So the next step after this is you will discuss the PhD topic, the area of your PhD, and you will obtain the willingness letter from your research guide or your prospective research guide. And after their willingness letter, you will get a letter from your guide. You will decide the topic. You will submit all the documentation to the university through an online login portal. After payment of certain PhD registration fees, you will be provisionally admitted for the PhD registration process. You will be given one login and password for that. Okay. So through that, till your award of PhD, till the last date, you will be getting the detail through the login of the PhD login of the student, right? So after this, there will be pre-PhD and coursework would be there. That would be of 5 complete days, right? And you need to obtain an attendance certificate for completion of the pre-PhD coursework. Right after the pre-PhD coursework, you will be having an examination in which 2 MCQ based exam papers, paper 1 and paper 2 would be there. Paper 1 would be again related to research methodology, and paper 2 would be related to your subject area, right? And there will be paper 3, which will be a research presentation before the guide. So out of these 3 papers, the grade will be given to you. 2 papers you need to appear for the MCQ based examination, and one paper 3, the third paper would be in front of your research guide or RAC committee, Research Advisory Committee, at where you are admitted for pursuing your research. So if you'll get the positive grades, minimum qualifying marks, then you will move towards the title finalization and the registration confirmation. So the next process to come up with your title of your PhD, to appear before the RRC committee. RRC committee is a committee appointed by university, in which experts, university representatives are there, those who are already PhD guide or expertise in PhD. So the committee would be constituted by the university, and you need to take your research proposal, that is proposed research outline, in front of the committee. You need to give the research presentation. Once the committee will finalize your research topic, and after submission of all the required documents which are required by the university, you will be getting the title confirmation later in your login. So the date of title confirmation will be the actual date of starting your PhD. It is because if you see the next process, title confirmation letter allotment by PhD in the login. After this, every 6 months interval will start for your progress report. So when you'll get the title confirmation, suppose on 1st January 2023, you got the title confirmation. So right after 6 months, so on 1st of July, you need to appear before the RAC committee, that is Research Advisory Committee, where you are pursuing your PhD under the able guidance of your research guide, right? With the first PhD progress report. In the first PhD progress report, submit generally this is depend on the RAC committee that what should be presented in the first PhD progress report. But considering the general practices, I'm giving you some suggestions. So in the first PhD progress report, you should present introduction of your study, objectives of your studies, frame the hypothesis according to your objectives, frame the objectives according to your title. Then the research methodology you're going to adopt, what would be your population, what would be samples and sampling techniques, right? What research tools you are going to get out of this. So these all would be part of the presentation in your first PhD progress report. After 6 months, of submission of your PhD progress report, and of course, one more most important thing is, once you will present the PhD progress report in front of your RAC committee, and after the signature of all the members of that RAC committee and the chairman, right? You need to scan the copy of that progress report and upload that scan copy in your PhD login, right? So this would be, you will be done with the first PhD progress report. After 6 months, second PhD progress report will come, in which you need to furnish the literature review and the research gap analysis. So again, I'm telling you, this is the content of the presentation in your progress reports would be subject to your guides, suggestions, right? So do discuss with them, right? But generally, in second progress report, the research scholars submits or presents the literature review and research gap analysis. Then in the third progress report, you will go for the pilot study. That is, pilot study would be a study consisting of a small size of your sample, right? Suppose, I'll tell you one example. If suppose government wants to launch one scheme, then government does not launch it directly. It takes some pilot experiment in certain specific areas or certain states. And after understanding the challenges and issues, and after overcoming those challenges, it launches for the whole country. So in a similar way, for going ahead for your study, you got to go for the pilot study. Based on a small sample size, or small amount of respondents, minimum say 30 to 100 respondents or 150 to 100 respondents you can take for your study, right? And till that time, you should frame your questionnaire, research questionnaire. And if there is if any difficulties or issues are encountering in this pilot study, you can change the questionnaire based on your observation, understanding of this on findings of your pilot study. You do consult these things with your research guide, right? And your research guide is the best person and the experts in this area, particular subject area, is also a best resource to guide you for this pilot study and compilation of research questionnaire. So submit the third progress report with the pilot study. You can furnish 2 research papers, right? This is a mandatory clause as well. In UGC Care or Scopus Journal, you need to submit at least 2 research papers. So your second and third progress report is the best time to submit your research papers, right? So research paper 1 would be based on your literature review, and research paper 2 would be based on your pilot study. So submit this in the UGC Care Journal or any Scopus Journal, right? That would be counted. That is a mandatory and would be counted in terms of your research as well, and in terms of your guides research as well, right? This is going to give you credit to both of you and your research guide. So coming to the next process, the fourth PhD progress report would be consisting of the data analysis, interpretation, and testing of hypothesis, right? So data analysis, so would be how much data we should collect, what should be the sample size. If suppose there are infinite respondents are there, then use the Cochrane's table or Morgan table to decide the sample size. And Cochrane and Morgan table suggests that 384 for an infinite number of respondents or a population, 384 is the appropriate size. But don't just take 384 as a sample size. Take 500 minimum respondents for the particular study. And sample size would be the study specific, right? If you are pursuing arts or that would give you another, because your study would be based on secondary literature study. If your study would be based on secondary sources, so you need not to take the primary research, right? So it depends on the study, right? So I suggest that in the fourth progress report, you should submit the data analysis, interpretation, and most importantly, your hypothesis should be tested, right? So coming to the next presentation. So in detail, we can discuss about all the things, but since there are limitation of this presentation and the time frame, so I'm just giving you a glance of this progress reports and the process. So coming to the next step is the fifth stage of PhD progress report. It's draft thesis, compilation, and confirmation from the guide, right? After doing all this, in the fifth progress report, you should draft your thesis. And a draft thesis should be discussed with your PhD guide, and you should present this in front of your RAC committee, research advisory committee, and take the confirmation from your research guide and the RAC committee, take the remarks, and in the 6th progress report, you should apply for submission of the synopsis of the study. Synopsis is the gist of your study. So what is your title? What are your objective? What are your hypothesis? What major data you have analyzed? What are your hypothesis testings that should be represented? What was your research methodology? So, and what is your major findings? What are your recommendations, suggestions, and what is the conclusion, right? So this should be the, and your synopsis should not be more than 30 to 50 pages, right? And along with that, you need to furnish the permission for draft thesis. So at KBC North Maharashtra University, you can submit both synopsis and draft thesis once you'll get the permission from the university. And for that, you need to apply. An application should be made to the university official. On that application, your signature and your guide signature is very, very important, right? And the application would be submitted to the research cell of the KBC North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. So once you get the permission for submission of your synopsis, submit the 10 copies of your synopsis plus 1 spiral copy of your draft thesis, right? And this you need to submit 1 CD as well, in which the synopsis and the draft thesis would be there, and all the required document of your PhD, that is your PhD provisional registration letter, your 180 days research completion, the completion certificate at the research center, right? And all the other documents which I'm going to give you in the checklist of this presentation. So do submit this. Right after this, university will schedule your pre-PhD Viva. So that would be a semi-final for your PhD, right? So you need to appear with your complete presentation and your draft thesis in front of the committee appointed by the university. There will be 3 persons and your guide. In total, there will be 4 persons, right? The committee, in front of them, you need to appear for the pre-PhD presentation or pre-PhD Viva. Right after this, submit all the documents and your CD of your presentation, if it is an online presentation, and all the required documents you need to submit to the university. And after this, university will give you to submit the final thesis, permission for submission of final thesis. So final thesis submission after plagiarism checking. So for this, all the suggestion given by the pre-PhD Viva committee, you need to incorporate that. You need to submit documents to the university that I have incorporated all the suggestions by them. And after compilation of all the suggestions in your PhD thesis, now your thesis would be the final thesis. Go ahead for the plagiarism check. As per the UGC norms, there should not be more than 10% of the plagiarism. So who checks this plagiarism? The university's central library checks this plagiarism report. So, Honorable Dr. Chikate sir is there, who is going to help you out, and his team is going to help you out for this, right? So submit through your email to the central library your final thesis and ask them for the permission, ask them for the plagiarism check. Within 48 hours, they're going to give you plagiarism checked report. If the plagiarism is below 10%, then there will be a positive remark from the central library, right? Central library will check the plagiarism through the Urkun software. So there will be a detailed report of Urkun software regarding the plagiarism. Most important thing I'm going to share with you, do not check your thesis on any of the website. Do not check your thesis for plagiarism, or do not upload your thesis for any website or any source connected to internet, because while checking the plagiarism, when university is going to check your plagiarism, you will be under self-plagiarism and your plagiarism would be 100%. So do not upload or do not share your thesis to anybody on offline or online mode, right? Before you will get the plagiarism certificate or before you will be awarded with the PhD. This is the most important thing I'm going to just ask you for this. So please do remember this. Once you'll get the certificate from the university for plagiarism check, now your thesis is ready for printing. So if the plagiarism is below 10%, then you will be allowed to submit a final thesis in 3 black bond copies to the university. Plus 2 copies you will be keeping, 1 copy for you and 1 for your research guide. So you need to take 5 copies of your final thesis in black hardbound project, right? So 5 copies you need to prepare for, right? 3 black bond copies you need to submit to the university, and 2 amongst 2 remaining, 1 is for you and 1 is for your research guide. Most important, on these black bond copies, do take stamp and signature of the university authorities. For that, you may refer any of the thesis on Shodhganga, which is published till the date. So then you will get the detailed process regarding all these things which I'm mentioning, and that would be a great source of reference for you while submitting your final thesis. After submission of the final thesis, university will send your thesis to 2 external referees outside the university jurisdiction. KBC North Maharashtra University. Outside of this jurisdiction, your thesis would be sent to the one referee who is within Maharashtra, affiliated to any university or within Maharashtra, and one fellow, one referee who is outside Maharashtra, right? So within 45 days, as per the university norms, they need to submit the report based on your thesis examination. So if the report, both the reports are positive, so they will send the communication to the university, and once they will get the communication, they will send the communication, to the university. University will send this communication to your research guide, and based on both the referees' recommendation, your research guide is going to prepare one joint report, right? Whether the thesis should be awarded with the PhD or not, right? And he will give a snapshot of your study, right? And this in turns, your research guide was going to submit to the university, right? After this, university will give you final Viva letter. So your final match, date of your final match would be communicated to you right through this letter. And thereupon, university will appoint 3-person committee. One is chairman, another is referee, to whom your PhD thesis was referred earlier, outside or within Maharashtra, right? And one is the university representative, and of course your research guide would be there. So there will be 4 persons in that committee in total, but committee would be consisting of 3 persons, right? So your date of final Viva will arrive, and after you will give the final presentation, right? And after submission of all the required documents, you will get awarded with the Ph.D, right? And the PhD notification would be given by the university research cell, right? So PhD would be awarded to you with the auspicious hands of Vice Chancellor or Pro Vice Chancellor. So this would be the most delightful stage in your life when you will be awarded with the PhD, because a lot of pains, a lot of hard works which you are taken for the pursuing your PhD, that will come to an end, and you will get a new beginning in the form of your name would be prefixed with Dr. Dr, right? So essential checklist, I'm not going to detail, you can have this through the presentation. This is the checklist while submission, while getting the permission for your synopsis. So to sum up with, this is the PhD award ceremony to me with the auspicious hands of Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor of Kavitri Bhenabhai Chaudhary North Maharashtra University, Dr. S.T. Investor. I was there along with my research guide and mentor, Dr. Anil Dogre sir, and Dr. Ajay Patil sir, senior professor and mentor, and of course my wife and my lovely daughter Yashika, who was instrumental in this entire process, right? So this is the moment which we all are cherishing for. So I wish all the best, and do refer our thesis, anybody's thesis you can refer on the Shodhganga. After the submission of the PhD to the university publishes this on Shodhganga. You can refer this thesis. This is the thesis for your kind reference. So I wish all the best for all the person who are pursuing the PhD, and all the research scholars to get your PhD awarded very soon. Thank you. Right after this video, below in the description links, you will be getting the MCQ questionnaires for the pre-PhD examination, paper 1 and paper 2, right? To go into the description box and do like, share, and comment of this video. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, friend. Any questions or comment you have, please mention in the comment box. Thank you.